What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Game Time Discussions. I'm Emery Cuzzy. I'm sitting here with Dustin Zimmerman, and we're going to be going over the college football championship game between the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Let me get comfy. I'm sorry.
There you go.
But yeah, we're going to go over all that. It's going to be our shortest recap of the year, probably, because it's only one game. Not a ton to talk about. Kind of went exactly how we saw it going. So,
Yeah,
um, nothing's
unfortunately.
nothing. Yeah, we both we did say we wanted Notre Dame to win, but that doesn't mean that
Yeah.
that is going to happen.
No.
Ohio State had them covered at every position. Kind of thought that originally. So let's get into it. I'll pull the Canva up and we'll get going. So it's kind of the background story of this game right here. 231, but to 255 for pass yards,
Yep.
but 214 rushing yards, including a 70 yarder, I believe, by Quinshon Judkins.
Mm-hmm.
Just Notre Dame, we saw this game kind of come out where they went up, and you texted me and you were like, "Oh well, Riley Leonard's a gamer," and I'm
He
like,
is.
"Yeah,
That is still correct, to be clear.
but it's early." They did have a really cool 18 play, 75-yard drive to start the game,
Yeah.
not giving the ball to Ohio State until almost the end of the first quarter. But then Ohio State comes back, scores, three and out by Notre Dame, and then Ohio State scores again, and then a three and out by Notre Dame, and then Ohio scores again,
Yeah.
and that was the end of the half. So
Yeah, fell off the tracks after that
yeah,
first drive.
wasn't really what I yeah. Well, you watch that first drive, you're like, damn, all right, Notre Dame's in this, and that's
Yeah.
just not really what it looked like. I know the game's ended 11 points. It wasn't really that close in my personal
No.
opinion. Notre Dame did try to stay in the game though, so that was good to see.
They made
So
a fun comeback. They made it interesting. I
oh
kept
yeah.
watching.
But second half was a little bit more of the same. Touchdown, Ohio State to start the second half. They were up 28-7 at that point. Notre Dame comes out, doesn't get a first down, loses on downs, and Ohio State scores a field goal. So at that point, 31-7,
Yep.
this game felt over really early. There's some players, of course, we'll talk about. Notre Dame held onto the ball, no turnovers. Ohio State had a turnover, but really good on third down. Won the turnover. I mean the third down margin, of course, and then Notre Dame just never really found a way to get back into the game, and I just
Nope.
yeah.
I
So
mean, they tried with the fake punt and
yeah, oh
you
yeah,
know, going down quick at a couple 30-yard plays. They're starting to come back. They had scored again. It was 31-15. They go for the field goal, and then they doinked it there. And I felt like at that point, it was kind of all over. Like, all right, clearly this just isn't meant to be for the Leprechauns. They're not getting it done today.
yeah. That doink field goal was tough because they just got the turnover,
Yeah.
um, and then it was just like, okay, we have a chance. We can do something with this, and it wasn't. It wasn't even close. So
Had all the momentum.
yeah, yeah. They needed to score. I thought they
Yeah.
could have gone for it there, just
Yeah, I
because
mean,
it's
fourth,
there's not a ton of time, and you're playing the best team
no.
in the nation. Take a chance.
Fourth and
So
goal at the 9. I get what Freeman was thinking with 9.5 minutes left. Take your points, and your defense has been, well, better compared to the first 70% of the game. But I was hoping they would go for it as well. Put it
yeah,
in Riley Leonard's hands and at least give him a shot at it. Again, worst case scenario, you've got them pinned inside the 10, get the
yeah.
ball back, which is what they ended up doing
Which is what
anyways,
did.
actually.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
had to made them punt,
Yeah.
and
Drove
then they
down
go
quick
down.
again.
Yeah, and score. That
But
touchdown by
great
Greathouse.
house.
Yeah,
Yep.
Westlake product. We talked about him last week because he did so
Mm-hmm.
well in the semifinal game. He actually didn't do that much throughout the year. He's a sophomore, young
Mm-mm.
guy, but still has a chance to come back. But he hadn't done anything, and all of
Nope.
a sudden, these last two games, he just was like, "Okay, it's my time to shine." I was like, "Cool,
Six
perfect."
catches for 128 yards and then two touchdowns
Yeah.
last night. So definitely make a name for himself. One of those guys that steps up in the moment. So
Yeah, if we're talking about some of the guys that did step up, we'll talk about these players of the games. We put Quinshon Judkins. I know that Will Howard actually got the offensive player of the game, but Quinshon
yeah,
had three touchdowns. He only had 13 touches. So on his 13 touches, he was able to get 121 yards, three touchdowns. He was the guy to go to.
yeah,
And so I just think he should have been offensive MVP. But I understand Will Howard played a pretty solid game, 99.1 QBRs. How you do it, I guess.
Almost perfect.
Yeah,
So
231 yards and two touchdowns in the game.
yeah,
The everybody was clicking. Jeremiah
yeah,
Smith, 5 for 88 and a touchdown. And Emeka Ibuka, 6 for 64. Like the whole side, the whole Ohio State side was playing really well. So
yeah,
it just was what it was. Defensively, I almost didn't put a defensive player of the game on the Ohio State side. They all played well.
yeah.
They didn't create any turnovers. Wasn't a
Mm-mm.
ton of. There was only two sacks by the team, but they got off the field constantly.
Yeah,
They didn't have any issues with that. So I would have, kind of chalk it up to the whole defense as a solid. But Cody Simon did get the defense player of the game through like the national championship
yeah. Who they
committee.
picked?
Yeah,
So
so I was like, okay, we'll put him on here. But truly, there was a bunch of guys you could have been like, yeah, JT Tuimoloau, sure, five
yeah,
tackles, one sack, two tackles for loss, sure, that could be our guy. Sonny Styles, he had a sack and a tackle for loss, but they didn't really have one guy that was just
mm-mm.
outstanding, better than everybody else. They were all really, really good. So just
And,
putting him
and
in
that's
there.
not to take away from Cody Simon either. It's
No,
more to elevate how we saw the entire team as a unit. I
yeah,
mean, realistically, could have just put Ohio State defense and called it good and let them share it.
exactly. This video is going to be really short, but I did want to talk about some of the guys that are going to be leaving this Ohio State team because I think it's really interesting how well teams can regroup the next year. And we've talked about, I mean, Texas has just lost, I think, like 16 starters or something,
A
17
bunch of
starters.
the offense.
So, yeah, the whole offense, shoot.
Yeah.
Um, Quarterback, running back, quarterback, whole O line, basically, except for one guy, all the receivers, tight
Hmm.
end. But Ohio State is going to be doing something similar. Quarterback's gone, both running backs, and Judkins and Travion Henderson and Mecca Ibuka will be gone. They
Yeah.
still, of course, have Jeremiah Smith because he was a 18-year-old this year, freshman. He's a freak. Um, and then on the O line, they will be losing Josh Simmons, who hasn't played since week 6, but they also will be losing their other left tackle, who moved from left guard to left tackle, and Donovan Jackson. He's a really solid player. Their center, who's been there forever, Seth McLaughlin. Defensively, they're losing everybody's gone. I mean,
Yeah.
their whole team is gone on defense. Both edge rushers and JT and Jack, and then of course you have Cody Simon who will be leaving. Their whole secondary, all five of them, are basically guys that are going to be going, and then Tyleek Williams out of the center of their defensive line. So basically restarting their whole team. It's going to be interesting. They're
Oh,
really good though.
apparently, Calvin Simpson Hunt was a cornerback for them, and he entered the transfer portal today too. So there's another cornerback they're not bringing back. Apparently, I don't know
Interesting.
where he was on the depth chart.
Fair, fair, fair.
He was the first one that popped up on the on three. I was just gonna see what their ranking was, but apparently
Probably.
he did not celebrate long before making his move.
Well, they have until I want to say the 24th to enter the transfer portal
Yeah,
or something
it's a
like
real
that.
short. Looks like
Yeah,
they had a few already jump into the portal. A couple have
makes
already
sense.
committed.
What
Oh yeah,
about
Devin Brown. I forgot he went to Cal.
Yeah. What about Notre Dame? Did they have any guys that are leaving for
Um,
transfers? I'll talk about their, of course, guys that are going to be leaving for
yeah,
the
let me
NFL.
find theirs.
I'll start then on my side. Riley Leonard, of course, is going to be gone. He is trying. I mean, he definitely improved his stock just because of everybody wants the guy that's going to go jump over somebody for the first down. Do everything in his power to, you know,
Yeah, like it's
make plays and
crazy.
stuff. Insane competitor. Jeremiah Love's coming back. Jadarian Price is coming back. Both their running backs. Jaden Greathouse, who we just talked about, is coming back. The one that on their out of all their guys that are sorry, like why am I blanking? Out of their skill players, there we go.
Yeah,
Mitchell Evans is the only guy that is actually leaving. He is the tight end,
yeah,
main tight end for them, pass catching guy. So that's the bulk of their offense. Their offensive line is pretty much staying intact. On their defensive side, Xavier Watts, who's been there for a long time, done great things for them. He's leaving. Jack Kaiser's will be gone, and then both of their
hmm
defensive tackles will be gone in Howard Cross and what is the big white boy's name? Riley Mills. So
yeah,
both of those guys will be out of there, but everybody else is basically coming back. I don't know if their head coach is coming back. Something that we will have to wait and see if Marcus Freeman is going to try the NFL route now that he has done coaching this season.
Yep.
He has been asked by multiple teams to get an interview. Haven't heard anything of that yet, but I know that that should come pretty soon. So we'll have to see with him. But
I
a
know
lot
one of the
of
big rumors about him was to the Bears, and that's now been filled.
yeah,
So
Ben
I'm not
Johnson going
sure.
there.
I know there's also a bunch of rumors. Ohio State's defensive coordinator might be leaving. A lot
Okay.
of rumors with him going to Oklahoma. I don't really understand it because it'd be a lateral move to be the
Well,
DC under Brent Venables.
that's what I was going to ask. Is he getting the head coaching position?
No, it would be for the DC position. At least the rumors I've read. But like I said, I don't really understand why he would do that when he'd be going to a place where they've got a defensive head coach who likely wants reins of the defense.
Right. Well, maybe he's going to get paid more. I
I mean,
mean that
I
seems to be a
imagine
pretty
Ohio
solid
State
reason.
has a solid endowment and probably building that even more,
Fair.
given their success yesterday.
Well, yeah, they what was it? You got paid 12 million to your whole league if you made the natty.
Yeah.
So that yeah, I'm sure they'll have the money. It's not that. I just wonder if that there's got to be some sort of incentive. Maybe he's from Oklahoma. I don't know.
Well, it
But
also could just be random rumors that aren't true. Like I said, I have no idea.
of course. And any transfers that you're seeing on your side?
Actually, for Notre Dame, no. At least not that I've announced today. That could be more of a, bad PR move. We lose and immediately enter the transfer portal. It's a little bit easier if you're the winning team.
Right.
But from what I'm seeing, no. Now, I will say that could also depend on, like you said, Freeman.
Yeah.
A bunch of guys who came in because Freeman's in his third year.
Yes.
Just finished his third year rather. Um, they've been recruited by him now, talking about the sophomores and even juniors and obviously the freshmen. So if he leaves, though, you could see a lot of guys jumping out, which, the transfer portal window, that's why there's so much commotion about should we change the dates on it? Because a lot of guys, get very limited and handcuffed. We saw
Right,
that
for
with,
sure.
who was it? Malik Murphy last year
Right.
when he
Yeah.
left Texas before the playoff as a big name being the QB2 at the time. But because he had to.
Yeah, because he was never going to play, and he still
Well,
wouldn't have played.
right. He made the right decision to go.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
just he had to is what I mean.
Yeah.
He
Time
couldn't
of the
be with the
year.
team because everyone was like, "Why wouldn't he stay with the team?" It's like, well,
Yeah.
he did you want him to sit behind yours and Arch this year? The guy's got
Yes.
his own career he needs to do.
Yep. I know that, there's a lot of speculation on how we're looking at top 25 for next year. They've already been putting out new things and stuff, and I think
They
that's
released the title
ridiculous.
odds.
Yeah, it's crazy. And Arch is currently the number one for the Heisman voting. Texas is number one overall, I believe.
Yep. Texas at plus 450, Ohio State plus 500, Georgia plus 600.
I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know.
Uh,
Steve, give me Steve Angeli and the Notre Dame
well,
Fighting
let's
Irish.
let's see what their transfer portal does first.
Well, yeah, but by numbers, I'm sure they're not in the top 10,
I wonder. I was
probably.
about to say, let me see what ESPN has them at as far as theirs. Notre Dame is at plus 1500,
Hmm. Yeah.
seventh on the list. Oh
Okay. Okay.
wow, they listed A&M plus 3000. I don't know how A&M made it, but we'll take it.
Marcel Reed, another year
Yeah,
older.
I'm not. Don't take that bet. Don't do it.
Yeah. Well, I
Plus
saw he was
3000 is not worth it.
he's also got good Heisman odds, so. But
Yeah,
that for where he's at on the Heisman voting, I was surprised.
yeah.
Otherwise, though, guys, I'm gonna stop sharing. We really don't have anything else to talk about, unless, you have something else to bring up about this game.
I mean, no. I wish I did. I wish the game was much closer than it was, but it's one like you said, the game was not as close as the score shows. I'm not going to call a late fourth quarter push making it a close game.
Right, for sure.
This
Hey,
game
Riley
was
Leonard tried, man.
at halftime. This game was over, but like I told you, my guess was that Riley Leonard was going to will them to a one possession game, and he almost did. And then they gave the 50-yarder to Jeremiah Smith, and
I was gonna say this game was -8 to Ohio State.
yep,
At the point like at that point, it was on the dot. It was 8 point
yep.
game. They hadn't kicked the field goal yet, and I was like,
Yep.
of course, a freaking course. Vegas
Yeah.
knows everything, man. They are
Well,
so good.
there were a lot of people with a lot of cheers and a lot of jeers on that field goal, that
Oh yeah,
almost meaningless field goal by the end.
yeah. So I'll stop sharing. It was a fun college football season. We had a lot of interesting things to talk about, of course, during this year because of NIL and the transfer portal and all these things that
Yep.
are good and bad for football. The new JUCO route for high schoolers is a terrible thing. So
No
we'll
more
just have to
walk-ons.
hopefully, yeah, walk-ons are going to be depleted at the least, and it's this whole thing is just going to hopefully fix itself, but we're not there yet.
Nope.
But we have a lot coming up. Dustin is going to be looking and following on three, the whole transfer situation and stuff like that. We'll give updates and stuff. There'll be short videos where we do 10-minute videos and we just give updates on guys that have left, gone, where they've gone, and also, we're going to give you the updates on the best guys. Don't you worry about
Yeah.
the other stuff. And then I'm doing the NFL draft. I've already broken down some of the guys that we're going to be looking at during that process. Of course, there's a lot of stuff to happen before then. We have combine, we have senior bowls, we have all kinds of stuff. And so we'll get into all that. That's my favorite thing to do during the year. So I'm excited about that. Cam, of course, will be doing his own stuff for the outlooks on these teams going into next year. Cap space. Cam is the guy for cap space. He's very GM minded, so we love that because then he can kind of keep us up to date on just what players are worth. In the free agency, we'll talk about free agency with him. If it's a good idea to take in certain investments and stuff like that, Cam is very well versed in all of that stuff. So very
Yep.
excited to get into that, and then we're going to have all kinds of other stuff going on throughout the year as we figure out what we want to do. We're going to change up the videos from last year. We're going to improve them. Hopefully, we're going to do some more recording like this rather than in the room, that side of the room over there behind me. We're going to do some more like this, and hopefully, this we can get as many videos out to y'all as possible and keep y'all updated with everything that's going on.
Absolutely. As well as if we, start doing other th stuff, or if anybody leaves ideas in the comments, please
Yeah,
feel free and build off those and see what comes of it.
yeah, I know that there's a lot of different people. They all have their niche in this world of podcasting about football. If
Yep.
you look out there, there's all kinds of stuff. There's franchise talking just about certain franchises all day. There's guys that do all kinds of stuff. So if y'all want to see something, we're open for it. If especially if like it's a deep dive type of thing. There's some
Yep.
franchises that are bigger to talk about than others,
Right.
especially in the state of Texas. So we'll get into all that, but we appreciate y'all hanging out with us, and hopefully y'all have some questions for us. We're gonna do some live streams so that we can talk about certain things. Of course, y'all can ask questions and get into all that. But we appreciate y'all hanging out with us, and we will see y'all on the next one.
Thank y'all very much for joining us.